Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to the King's Roundtable here on Turnbuckle Bros. With us, as always, is the Lee May Ripper, the King himself, Steve Mutsu, and of course, our great friends of the show, David Avent and Tyler Enzer. And so we're back with another edition of the Roundtable. It's been a little while. I've had some stuff going on in our lives, busy. Goddamn COVID, all kinds of stuff, disrupting everything. But here we are, again, back with the Roundtable. We've got some exciting, cool stuff to talk about today in regards to Diamond Mine Online and Imagine Sports in the form of all these new Sim Santa features that are being deployed to the game rather quickly. And so let's get right into it, you guys. There's a lot of cool stuff, a lot of new changes that are being applied to our everyday gameplay right now. And so, I mean, the one thing that pops into my mind first, I'll just go ahead and kick it off, is the search fields. It's really useful to me now that there's not just 10 search fields out there, there's 20. And so I don't have to go in and change all these different things and do different searches all the time. I can do one search and boom, I'm done. Anybody else got anything to add on the new search fields? Has it impacted your game at all, Steve?
I love the way you can see all the fielding positions at the same time. That saves a ton of time.
Yeah, that's solid too. Like a noob like me before would go, well, this guy's a third. He plays third and first and left field. Okay, I'll do my search for third. Then I'll go back and do another search for first. And now you don't have to do that anymore. You see it all at once.
That's what we all had to do.
Yeah. So it
awesome. Used to be even worse. You used to have to do like 30 downloads because if somebody had 0 plate appearances, then their splits, such and such versus lefty, they wouldn't show up in those searches.
That sounds brutal.
Yeah. So putting together a spreadsheet with everybody back in the old days, old meaning only like 5 years ago, was awful. And then they made it somewhat better, and now it's great. It's basically just one spreadsheet for pitchers and one spreadsheet for hitters, and you're done.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It saves so much time searching for like a free agent or something. Whenever you're doing something like that, it just saves so much time.
And
especially
with the downloads too, just like before when you had 10 search fields, you probably want more than that if you're using a spreadsheet kind of thing. And so you'd have to download 2 probably for and then you'd have, because you couldn't do all of the positions at once, you'd probably have to download 2 spreadsheets for all 9 positions.
Or 5 covering all the basic stats, and then 1 for each for the fielding stats for each position is what I used to do. And
that would have saved me a lot of time. I didn't even think of that.
Another new thing on here, as far as the new Sim Santa stuff, is we talked about it offline a little bit, but before the show, you can save your team's settings now. I didn't even know that, but that's huge. Especially for a guy like me who kind of does the same thing with his team settings every time. It saves you that effort of having to go in and change it. Has anybody used this yet?
I have. I love it. Anything time, I like it.
If you're running a lot of teams, that should really help. For me, the one team at a time guy, it doesn't make too much difference. But there is something I want to shout out. I mean, I doubted. I called out IS at one point, saying, when somebody complained that, the 20 was great for some people, but now it's too many, I got to scroll down. And I said, well, if this were a modern infrastructure, then when you select one, the next one would appear. But I didn't think they could do that. I thought that they were locked into the way they were doing things, and they proved me wrong. And I think it's just wonderful that they're being so responsive.
Yeah, it is great. And so let's just go ahead and give a shout out and props to all those guys on the development team at Imagine Sports, Dane and Charles and the whole crew that they have with them that work really hard to make this game great. And especially with this latest batch of Sim Santa stuff, man, I mean, they're kicking stuff out pretty fast, and it's going awesome. And so definitely, huge props to those guys. So let's go to the latest post from our good friend of the show, Charles Wolfson, who is a big player behind the scenes on Diamond Mine Online. This is his latest post on the newest Sim Santa features that they've added. And so this is kind of similar to what we were just talking about, but he says the search for players page now displays just the search filters you've entered plus one more instead of all 20.
Right, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, and so each time you enter one, another appears until you reach the maximum of 20. Boom, they made it happen. There it is right there. And also on the search for players page, you can now filter searches to display just players on your teams in your league. So just players on teams in your league, which is awesome, as well as your own team, enabling you to scout the ratings of the players of the league, of your league opponents. And that's something that me and Steve asked Dave.
That is excellent.
And
I mean,
that's an excellent one.
It's just tremendous, because if you're trying to figure out like the lefty righty makeup of your league, it's just huge to be able to get that information so much more easily.
Yeah.
And is this team going to be taking extra bases on me? Not running, not stealing, but running. Well, I can see everybody's run ratings.
Yeah, this is a feature that I need to start using a lot more too, because in the current league that I'm in, it's, some teams are always just going to murder left-handers, and you don't really prepare for those as much because you don't see as many of them. But I need to start doing that in this league because it's coming to be to my detriment. And so I need to scout these guys a whole lot more. And that's awesome that we can do that now.
Pre-season, if you see your opponents have righties who can get out lefties and lefties who can get out righties, then you don't want a lot of switch hitters.
No.
But if they don't, then switch hitters or platoons are great. So now it's easy to check.
There's also certain pitchers whose value really comes from the idea that you have sort of a regular composition of players in your league. So I think of Marco Estrada right now, who's really popular. He's got huge reverse splits. It's just not just in the sim stats, but also in the live game. If you check there, he's way better against lefties than righties. So if you've got a traditional league setup where every time you've got a right-handed pitcher, your opponents are going to have several left-handed hitters in the lineup, he's great. But if you're in a league that's just full of a disproportionate number of right-handed hitters, you're not going to want him. And I think that, I used to have to go through every team, right? You have to go to the separate page for each team to figure out who they've got. It's just so much easier now.
Yeah, it's awesome. Here's another one. So Charles, the next one in his post, it says, on your roster page, in addition to the total value of players on your roster, there now is a display in total dollars and by percentages of batters, pitchers, and players on your inactive reserve. So it's kind of a,
that's directly a result of this show, I think. We talked about that one a lot.
Yeah.
That's the turnbuckle number right there.
Yes. You should subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, just for that one right there. You diamond miners out there.
I have paleontologitis really bad. I like to name stuff. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Yeah, I'm always naming stuff. I love it. I like to name stuff.
Turnbucklers, diamond miners. I like it. That's good stuff. I like that one.
Yeah, I think it's not going to be of much use, I think, to most players, but I've seen people talk about that on the boards, and once you know what you're doing, you don't really need that information. But I think it's really useful for newbies who might be prone to death spiraling, that they can directly see what they're doing to their teams. I went back because I remembered a team that death spiraled in a league that I played in a few months ago, and I went back just to check what their value of their team was, and this was a standard league. And at the end of the season, they had a $52 million team. So it's a lot harder to do that, I would hope, when you can directly see the consequence of what you're doing.
Also, seeing what percentage pitchers and hitters, I don't think that's has much strategic use, but it's also really interesting. You say, hey, I put together a team that I thought is really pitching and defense heavy, but I'm nearly leading the league in offense and only mediocre on run prevention. What's going on? Is it just luck? Or let's check all my opponents, and I can instantly see, no, they were doing the same thing I did, even more extreme. So it makes sense that I'm scoring more runs.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like that feature because it's kind of adding more to a one-stop shop-ish kind of feature on a roster page. You kind of get to see a little bit more. It's a little bit less digging that you have to do. Not that you maybe would all the time for those anyway, but I kind of like seeing that stuff on there, just on your basic roster page. He's got one more here, and this is one I like. Not a huge one, but I like seeing this. The cash worksheet now is sorted by salary rather than order in which players have been added.
It's not. I'm not used to that one yet. That one's still messing me up, but I can see how it's valuable. But like you know, how you're used to the last guy you picks at the bottom, and you go and you look. He's gone.
Right.
What's going on? That's happened to me a couple times already.
I live in the cash worksheet during the season in our league. I mean, that's pretty much where I go the whole time.
Where I go.
You know, if I want to search, some potential guys I might want to pick up, search guys for the next year. Maybe it's the end of the season. Let's see what my guys are look like, or whatever, or whatnot. But the cash worksheet is a place where I live, so anything that's added to that is cool in my book.
One
I
more
have
thing that he
literally
didn't
never
mention:
touched it.
the you don't touch the catch word. How do you do stuff?
I don't know. What do you use it for that you can't do?
Man.
Anytime you're going to make a free agent move, you can make multiple moves at the exact same time, and that is very.
Oh, okay.
You check the players you're releasing, you check the players you're signing, and you don't have to take separate loans. And if there's some sort of scramble when the hold period is over, or if you're in a league with special rules like in the Masters tournament where certain players become available at a given day, then you just click the button.
Yeah, that's what's the best thing about it. It's that last minute deal.
Yeah. And also
Plus,
for
you
SS,
can also check a box and find out that you're $11,000 short on your $130 million team, and you can be annoyed by that real easily just by clicking. Oh, shit. $11 again, come on.
Right. It lets you see these are the moves I want to make, and it says, well, that would require a $3,000 loan, or it using all your cash and your loan money, you're still you're still $1 million short, and then you could see, well, how long would I have to wait to get that million?
Oh. There he is. And the cat, what's your cat's name, Tyler?
He's Dr. Whiskers.
Dr. Whiskers makes another cameo. So especially for SSG players, the cash worksheet is really helpful because you can see your player usage in that page too. And also,
you also Tyler, have quick access to Baseball Reference and retro sheet there, so you can see what's going on next year. The year after that.
And also, you can bookmark players. Say, I'm going to be in the market for a third baseman. Here's a couple guys I'm looking at. You can just bookmark them, and you can see them in the cash worksheet the whole time. So when you're actually ready to pull the trigger on a deal, you just select the player you want to release, and boom, it makes it a lot quicker.
And if they actually wanted to
realize that.
Go back and do anything more with this, what I would love is to let you select how it's going to sort, because I would rather have it sorted by position.
Yeah, that would be way better. Maybe if you had a choice.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I know what's going to be on SimSanta list in 2022.
Another thing that you can easy access to the details page now. That's nice. That saves time. Remember you used to have to do weird stuff to get to the details page? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I almost never go to the details page. But
is that the one where you can see their current, their individual seasons from current stats?
Yeah, and you can see the splits and stuff real easy.
Oh, yeah, I don't really use that much either. I use it sometimes for newer players because you can see more data than yeah.
So are there any other new SimSanta features that you guys have checked out, used, dislike, anything?
One thing I would just add, because I've seen a couple of people be confused about this on the message boards, in order to utilize the feature where you can look at multiple positions at once, the default range that's going to pop up if you select like FLD 1B or something like that, the default's still going to be poor to excellent. And to have non-first baseman show up for that, you do have to move both of those drop-down menus to the dashes. So the default behavior is still going to be the same as it used to be.
Which will exclude all people who aren't rated at first base if you select first base.
Right. So that's just something to keep in mind, because I've seen a few people be confused about how to get it to work, and that makes sense to me because it's not completely intuitive, I guess, but once you get a handle on it, it makes a lot of sense.
See, I haven't put together a new team since the change. Does it work for outfield arm? Outfield throw?
Outfield arm always shows up. Yep. You don't have to put the dashes in it. It just shows up.
Okay.
Oh, don't you have to put the dashes in, though, if you want infielders who aren't rated for the outfield?
I don't think so. I don't think you can see catcher's arms and outfield's arms no matter what you do.
Huh.
I believe that. I might have just set all my pages wrong. I mean, I might have set my pages up. I don't know. Can somebody check?
I can check right now.
Access. That ain't me.
Check it. Fact check it.
Ask the spreadsheet what Todd Helton's outfield arm is.
And you know what? I want you guys to see something here too. So I'm going to go ahead and share a screen real quick.
No, if I select, the dashes are available and you do need to use them, because if you don't, you'll only get outfielders.
Okay.
But the dashes are available.
Yeah. Nice.
I must have just set them up right away and forgot about it.
So the only other thing to check is passed balls, the pass ball rating, and catcher throw. I assume catcher throw is the same as outfield throw, but pass ball ratings, I think we're gonna. Yeah, you're still. No, okay. Hold on.
It does show up, don't it?
Pass balls, everybody who's not a catcher shows up as 0, which isn't exactly right, because some people are actually rated 0 as catchers, but at least it doesn't exclude non-catchers. So you could still do only one spreadsheet for every position.
Are there catchers rated 0 for pass balls?
There was one, unless it was changed. Earl Grace, I think, but that was many years ago. He may have been re-rated.
I think another place too where this is super useful is in trying to check a starting pitcher's reliever durability, because it used to be really kind of tricky to get that information. And basically, if a starter's not rated as a relief pitcher, they have VG durability. But there's the odd starting pitcher who's got a different designation for relief pitching. Mm-hmm. So it's so much more useful now to just have starter and reliever durability all in the same spreadsheet.
Yep.
Nice. Well, you guys brought up you guys were talking about outfield arms, and we were talking a little bit before the show. Let's take a little curveball, if you will. Let's throw a curveball to the show. We're talking about outfield arms. We were talking about some great throwers, some great arms in the outfield. Some of our favorites are some of the best of all time. Who was accurate? Who threw people out? Who made some of the best throws you ever saw? And of course, the first one that comes to my mind, and it's not just because I'm a super huge St. Louis Cardinals fan.
Yeah, it is.
But I'm telling you, if you go back and watch those throws from Rick Ankiel in Coors Field when the Cards were playing the Rockies, he made 2 brilliant throws damn near from the track, just strikes, throwing guys out, going for triples at third. It doesn't get any better than that right there. Watch those clips. And he did it a few more times when he was playing for the Nationals, too, I believe, towards the end of his outfield
the best
career.
outfield arm I've ever seen.
Yeah, let's talk about some other outfield arms. David, what are some top outfield arms in your opinion?
Well, the one that I mentioned, he's not top, but he could throw as far and as fast as anybody, but it didn't usually go where he wanted it to, and that was Reggie.
Yeah.
On the occasion where the ball did go where he wanted, he was as good as it could get.
accuracy is key. Who was another accurate arm in the outfield that just, that nobody wanted to challenge?
Mark Whitten.
Mark Whitten.
Cannon.
There's a name from the past
4
that doesn't
homers
get
in a
brought.
game once.
Yep.
Mark Whitten.
That reminds me of the story. So Mark Whitten is not as he was a pretty good player, but not as well known. He played for the St. Louis Cardinals for a while in the early to mid 90s, right? And Mark
4 home runs in a game, I think.
Yeah, yep. Mark Whitten is one of the few people who has hit 4 home runs in a game, and I'll never forget it because this is how I found out about it. I woke up one morning, early, getting ready for school or whenever it was, and Steve was laying on the floor with the old clock radio. They do those old little radios with just a little digital, time or whatever on this. It wasn't even digital. This is like 1993. Look it up. I think it was 93 when Whitten hit those 3 homers in one game, or 92, one of the two. And he's listening to the radio, laying next to it on the floor, all wide-eyed. He's like, man, Mark Whitten hit 4 home runs and had 12 RBIs in one game last night. And I go, is that good? He's like, it's unbelievable. And he listened to KMOX in St. Louis about it all the time. He was just like, oh, my God. But then, I was just a little kid. I was probably like 10 years old or 11 years old or something. But I remember that. It was a big deal. 4 homers in one game. What about the 4? Is there any other 4 homers in one game, guys, you guys can think of off the top of your head? There's only like maybe 12 or 13 of them ever. The last time I checked, there's not many.
I'm not positive on this. I have a feeling Edwin Encarnacion might have done it for the Blue Jays a few years ago. It might have just been 3 home runs, though. I can't remember for sure.
You know what? I'm looking it up right now. Let's see if I can
drawing
find
a blank. I used to know this list.
Yeah, I knew some of them.
There's not many people on this list.
How many of them are from before 1990?
Let's find out here. Let's see if I can find it.
Drawing a blank. Got nothing. I didn't remember the Mark Whitten one, though.
There's only been a few after Mark Whitten. I know that.
After that game, all the Cardinals held their bats up like Knights did with swords. You know what I'm talking about? And they made like that tunnel thing, and Mark Whitten walked through it. That was pretty sweet. I like it.
So we, outfield arms. We know Barfield, Walker.
I found some here. Let's see what we got.
I never really saw him play a lot, but because he's an American leaguer, but I heard he had a cannon for an arm.
Here they are.
Ichiro.
And I have found, looks like I've got, what is it, 18 people ever? Here's the list. Lou Gehrig.
Yeah.
Lou Gehrig hit 4 homers in one game in 1932.
He was the first, right?
Yep, he was the first. Pat Seary of the Chicago White Sox hit 4 homers in one game in 1948. No idea who the hell he is. Rocky Colavito. No clue. Colavito.
That's a name you should know, Matt.
You should know that one, yeah.
I don't know that one. Never even heard that name.
American leaguer.
That's probably
one of the top players of his time.
Mike Cameron. I know that name. In 2002, hit 4 homers in one game for the Mariners. Carlos Delgado. That's the one I was trying to think of. Carlos Delgado in 2003 for the Blue Jays. You should have known that one, Tyler.
No, I wasn't watching baseball in 2003.
And this is one that doesn't surprise me. Josh Hamilton hit 4 homers in a game for, obviously, the Texas Rangers. Did it against the Orioles. Who else we got here? I'll just throw out some names. Bobby Lowe, Ed Delahanty, Chuck Klein.
Ed Delahanty?
Wait, that would be before.
Yeah, that would be before.
Those were 4 inside the Parkers right there.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, because he did it in 1896.
Does that one count? Did they count? Do stats count?
They weren't even wearing gloves that day. That don't count.
Well, stats were often fabricated back then.
Right.
Sometimes the owners got the newspapers to inflate them in order to draw fans, and sometimes they got the owners to deflate them to help with the owners and salary negotiations. So stats from before Ruth really aren't that reliable.
No, not really. Okay, so let's get to some more modern ones here. Gil Hodges, Joe Adcock, Willie Mays hit 4 homers in a game. Mike Schmidt hit 4 home runs
I
in a
wanted
game.
to say that the whole time. I just didn't do it.
And a guy that's been on my team in the league that we're in for a long time, Bob Horner for the Atlanta Braves.
I remembered that one too, and I didn't say it. I don't know what's wrong with me. Just didn't have
Bob
the
Home
confidence
Run
to work
Horner
these
in
out.
1986. And then, of course, is Mark Whitten's. So Mark Whitten hit 4 homers in a game in 93, and no one did it after him until 2002, and it was Sean Green from the Los
Also
I remember
Angeles
that one
Dodgers.
too now. Damn.
Oh, okay.
Horner had Hall of Fame talent, but he just couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah, I love Horner. He's been doing great for me. Steve traded him to me, and he's just and he's been awesome. So
the guy just didn't get in shape. You could tell.
yeah. So there's 2 more left on the list. Sean Green hit it in 2002. Scooter Jeanette for the
That's
Reds.
a crazy one.
In 2017, Scooter Jeanette hit 4 homers in a game. And
How
the
did
last one,
that happen? He probably only hit 7 in his whole career.
and also in 2017, the last one on the list was J.D. Martinez for the Diamondbacks, hit 4 home runs in a game.
So
it-
must have been just 3.
It's a pretty, it's a pretty short list. It's something that just doesn't happen a lot. It's super
Scooter
hard to
Jeanette
do.
The worst player on that list, or maybe
Could be.
Probably is.
Scooter Jeanette.
It's like, I wonder though, I don't think I've seen 4 home runs in a game on IS, but I'm sure it happens all the time. I kind of wish they had like a systematic way of collecting that kind of information, because I think you'd see some really cool, really rare outcomes a lot of the time in IS games. Like I had Lum Harris throw a no-hitter for me a few weeks ago, which is just like, I love that kind of stuff happens on IS just probably every single day. Really crazy stuff like that.
What's your guys' favorite accomplishment one of your players have ever had? Because I know mine. Mine's been the same for 20 years. It was the greatest thing that ever happened. But I have this team it's going to the very end, okay? You have to win this last game or we don't make it. This is game 162. And also at the same time, Eddie Plank needs to win this game to get his 30th win, right? So what happens? Eddie Plank pitches a perfect game, 30th win, and give me the division. It was I'll never top that game. That was the best game I'll ever see. I don't even know if I watched it. I don't know if it was available to watch back then, but it was the best box score I'll ever look at.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
I'm going with. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm gonna go with Lum Harris's no hitter just because I've had a few no hitters. I've never seen a perfect game yet. A no hitter from somebody who costs 1.1 million is just the complete. He's got poor durability. You don't even expect him to complete a game. So to see him get a no hitter was pretty great.
How did he complete that game?
He was up over, I think he got 120 pitches. I think the sim manager will sometimes push a guy if they're close to a shutout.
I actually don't like that feature. That if they're
I don't
going
either.
for a shutout or something, they'll leave him in. That I don't like that. They should just stick with.
I don't either. But then on the other hand, I love that Lum Harris got a no hitter. So.
Yeah, that's as long as it don't bite you in the ass, it's pretty good, huh?
What about you, David? Is there a standout moment in your IS career that just tops the list for you?
Well, I don't know. It was one of my first teams and one of my few lousy teams. And it was right after Greg Maddux was introduced. And nobody signed him to begin the season. So I signed him partway into the season. And let's see, if he made 33 starts, and he never missed a start, and he was on ace mode. So that means he missed 12 starts. So I signed him partway into week 3. He still led the league in innings pitched and had an absolutely phenomenal season. You don't even have him for the first 2 weeks plus, and he pitches 269 in a third innings.
I think just for people who aren't aware of the history, he had X durability at that time, right?
Right.
And he was grossly underpriced.
Yes. No, I don't think it was realized right away just how grossly underpriced he was, but yeah, he was.
I'm trying. I've been trying to think of one. I really don't have.
They've been playing that long.
I mean, I've only been playing for about 2 years now, going on 2 years. And
you had John
only,
Denny go like 13-0 or something at the end of a season one time. And get you in the
well, the
playoffs.
last year John Denny did go 10-1. That was pretty awesome. I mean,
For anybody who doesn't know, John Denny has played at IS. He used
really?
to be a
Really?
semi-regular, yeah. I don't know if he's still around. I don't know what his username is, but people who know.
Hey, John Denny, if you're watching, let us know. Come on.
Yeah, John Denny, if you happen to see this, we want you on the show. You are my man. I'm a huge John Denny fan. My dad bought me he took me to a baseball card shop for one of my birthdays, and I got to pick out some cards. And he was like, "Oh man, they had some kind of 70s John Denny card." He was like, "Oh, you got to get this one, man. John Denny was the man." And I was like, I still have it to this day. So I'm a John Denny fan. I don't know. I would probably say this is kind of a cheesy one, but making it to my first World Series was probably my moment. Made it to the
playoffs. That was pretty good for you.
Well, I didn't want to say that one. I mean, that's obviously it. Totally destroying Steve in our first playoff match off against each other ever. Super sweep, as I'd like to call it.
Jack Clark did hit for the cycle in the World Series.
Yeah, Jack Clark hit for the cycle in a game.
I was kind of happy with that.
I know. I thought you were going to say that one, actually. So that's a pretty good one.
That's not like a perfect game on the last day of the season for your 30th win and division clinching championship.
Oh, no, that's too much in one. Yeah, that's way too much in one. That's awesome.
I currently have Carl Hubble on pace, at least last I looked, to get to 360-something innings.
Nice.
If he gets there, I'm going to be pretty pumped about that. But we'll see. That seems like just an astronomically high number. I feel like it's not going to happen. But
so what do you guys think the odds of that right-handers team going the whole season with fragile pitchers, fragile, poor-rated pitchers, make it every single start, no one missed the start, and then the first 2 games of the playoffs, they go down for 12 games each and just sink me. Boom. Right in a row.
We wanted them to go down, though.
Yeah,
you said relievers were better.
I wanted them to do it in the goddamn regular season so I could have like a Juan Acevedo make some starts. I didn't want it to happen when I have no. Oh, so man.
Were they prone or fragile?
Is who?
Were they prone or fragile?
I think one of them was prone and the other 3 were fragile. And I was hoping that they would go down for 45 and I could let Acevedo make but I was going to sign another reliever, remember? Because I thought I would need it. I had a bunch of but nobody ever got hurt. So I never signed another reliever. I never needed a pitcher. Everybody that started that season on that team, they're the only people who pitched. I never added a pitcher at all.
There's a bunch of
playoff start, boom, boom. That's the end of that.
So it's definitely low odds that then you get to the playoffs and they both go down in 2 games. But I think people do really overestimate how often fragile players get hurt, because I've had a lot of fragile pitchers that just go the whole season. I think Jaime Garcia's fragile, right? I think.
If he's not, he probably should be.
So,
the biggest danger with fragile is that if they do get hurt, it might be for a really long time.
Right. I don't know. I definitely worry about it more with pitchers. With position players, I think people really overestimate how many games it costs them if a guy gets hurt for a while. Because if you've built your team reasonably well, your bench player shouldn't cost you more than 2 or 3 games over a 40 or 50 game injury.
Yep.
So I think maybe people might mistake my disdain for fragile players to all fragile players, but most of them I don't care about because they're $2 million. But it's if I have a big chunk of money spent on a guy, I don't want that guy going down. You know what I mean? You know how we were talking earlier about how I like iron players, but it's really only those guys that I need, like Ron Santo. I need him every day. All 800 plate appearances that he got for that team. Scott Rowland probably wouldn't have got 800 plate appearances. You know what I mean?
I'll take Rowland and 144 games and a $700,000 backup for 18 games.
He wouldn't even hit as good as Santo in that price. He would have hit worse. He would have hit worse, fielded the same, and played less. It just makes no sense to draft Rowland in that league.
He was a lot cheaper too, though, right?
It wouldn't make no sense. He's not even close to good. When you don't have left-handers, when you're facing not any left-handers, he's not comparable to
So-
Santo anymore.
What do you think of? And I'm going to embarrass myself by pronouncing the name wrong. I can just feel it. Is it Pete Reiser or Reiser?
He's
Either
too expensive for me to go fragile on that. Like, I
Okay,
don't care
I'm
if
using
go
him.
fragile on my $2 million middle reliever. I could care less if he gets hurt. Or
Well, yeah,
not.
I mean, really cheap players, the injury rating is basically
The
meaningless.
higher up it goes, now I'm starting to get way more worried because if things
I-
go wrong, they really go wrong.
The higher up they go, the more I want to discount because they're fragile. But the way the market is, not only do you get a fair discount, you get double the discount you need to make it a good deal. So
Yeah,
okay.
I think that's right. A lot of times the really good fragile players are just stupidly underpriced.
But that's fine and all until they go down for 45 and sink.
No, that's fine. They go down for 45 games and it's still fine because
Yeah.
a backup for
Not fine.
45 games and them for the rest of the games is still better than you could do for that money if you don't do that.
Steve is shaking his head in
You
disgust
know
right
also
now.
about that fragile player, that expensive fragile player, you have to buy a decent backup for him. So his money should be added to, like, say if I spend
Yes.
Santo, I don't have no backup. I don't have no extra money
Right. So
tied up in him. But with Roland, I have to pay for a backup now. Because
But say your backup
it could be
is-
the end.
your backup could be like Bernie Freiberg, right?
Uh-huh.
Like
Oh, but that's not worth
$900,000.
the crap. He's not worth the shit. So, I mean,
But he's
Richard's
good
a good
enough for
player.
45 games.
Yeah.
What you
He is
get
not
out
good
of
enough for
Freiberg for
games for me. I'm trying
45
to score
and
1,000
Roland
runs, not
for
65. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get some shit going. I like to snowball. That's how I win. I beat you
Now,
up, and then I beat up your middle reliever, and then I score 11 runs by the end of the game.
It's all price
accumulation of blows. Blah, blah,
It-
blah. That only works if every day you can do it. You know?
Well, the reason I mentioned Freiberg, he's got a reasonable on base. He gets on base at, like, if memory serves, maybe 320 or something. So there's
Right.
guys like that in the under million range.
And if
risk
Reeser
averse.
goes down and I have
Just
to
risk
play
averse, I guess.
Gary Matthews Jr., yeah, okay.
Now
But I'm
I
sure
think
there's
I
a
don't
league
know.
where I would pick. I'm sure I could come up with lots of situations where I would pick Roland over Santo. Just that one was not one. That in that case, it would have been dumb.
I don't know. I don't know if others agree with me on this. I think I worry more about injuries when it comes to starting pitchers, because if a pitcher plays fewer games but has a much bigger impact on the games that he does play.
That's true, but over a 5-day period or a 4-day period, their impact is what their salary says it should be.
So-
you have to average the games they pitch with the games they don't.
But when I look, so like if you look in the $10 million range, for example, you can often find a much more durable pitcher who's basically as good as the prone or fragile guy. I find that there's less separation in the pitcher prices.
Right.
Um,
For relievers, for closers, that isn't always the case.
right. I was thinking of starting pitchers. I think you're definitely right with closers. What's his name? Right? Troy Percival is fragile, right?
He's on my team right now.
Oh, he's the best value at relief pitcher, I think, right now.
Yeah, it was Uehara for a couple of years, I think, and now it's Percival.
Also, for them fragile players, if they're going to hit ninth, I'm not as worried about them. If they're going to lead off, I'm a little more worried about them. You know what I mean? There's too many rolls of the dice to see if they're going down for 30 when you bet 800 times like what Santo did. But if you stuck him at the end of the lineup, he only betted 600. That's a lot less chances to get hurt.
I'm guessing we could. Well, you play in cores, though. If you played in county, they'd have less chances to get hurt too.
Yeah, if you're going to play fragile players and you play in Hilltop, you got less chance of them getting hurt because you only
I don't know
get hurt.
about Hilltop. Hilltop's a weird one, right? Because the home runs are down, but everything else is way up.
Yeah, maybe not Hilltop. I should have probably said something different. If home runs are down, I ain't playing. Move on. That's another thing with the pitchers you were talking about. Yeah, I don't care anything about them. If they're
do you
fragile,
do you grab
good,
a pitcher though
nothing.
for the playoff push usually?
Usually I don't.
They seem
Like
like
this time, what I do, I added George Foster. It's like, let's get more. Let's go for more hitting.
I feel super spoiled is that I haven't even played in a league yet where injuries were even turned on. So I haven't even had to deal with this. Look at that. Look at David rolling his eyes as I make that statement. And
hey, he ain't never played in an SSG. He can't roll his eyes.
Yeah, come on.
No, David's
I've
played
a bunch of SSG.
Yeah, but hearing all that, but that's like one of the first times I go, oh, okay, so this is something that I'm gonna have to deal with when I whoop Tyler and David's ass in this classic league that we're gonna be playing it. It's sometime soon. It's a big factor in the game when injuries are turned on.
It's not that big. You're better off not worrying about it at all than you are getting carried away with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've seen people who say on the message
but don't
board,
you guys just hate it? You see that red number there, and you're like, you fucking what the fuck?
Okay, this is. I kind of like having
games. I didn't want to see that. I like to see Mark McGuire with 3 homers. That's all I like to see. I don't want to see anything else.
I don't like a pile of injuries, right?
Armando Reynoso down for 12 games, game 1 of the playoffs. I don't like that.
I just had Frank Chance go down for like 20 games at the end of the season, but I was going to make the playoffs or the wild card either way, so not a big deal. But it's kind of fun to figure out how to fill in that position. And what I ended up doing is I played Yunel Escobar at first base against lefties and Tom Foley, whose salary I really miss in this new pricing cycle, at first base against righties. And it's kind of cool to be able to figure out something like that maybe, I don't know if it's the best move. My spreadsheet said it was, but they could
Was Chance also your backup catcher?
No, I had another guy in the minors that I brought up for him. So,
well, now that whole injury thing you were talking about, it wouldn't have been so hot if like he'd have got hurt on the 5th to the last day of the season for 20 games. That would have been fine. Pretty bad for you, wouldn't it?
My team went like 14-6 without Chance. I didn't need him.
Oh,
I don't know about that number. They played really well.
You needed him. You're in the playoffs when you're playing against the other good teams. You needed him. You know, in the playoffs, all 4 teams are good. You're not playing against.
Yeah. I've got him back for the playoffs. If his injury had extended over the period of the playoffs, I might have considered cutting him. But
you wouldn't have had the chance because that would have been in the last week, and you couldn't have cut him. You'd have just been screwed.
No, he got 20 games, so it was like.
Well, I know, but this is a hypothetical. You don't have Chance. It happens 10 days before the season ends, and you got a 20-game injury.
Is Chance even prone? I don't even know what his injury rate is.
He's prone.
I think he is.
He is prone.
See, that makes a player like me. That makes a player like me who has to play with injuries. I'm going to be paying attention to that when I'm drafting my team now.
Now,
I'm probably not going to be drafting any fragile players, and it might be to my detriment.
Take a look at World Series winners in good leagues and see if they have fragile and prone players.
I think
take a look and try to find people who win World Series more often than me, and I don't use fragile players very often at all.
Well, fragile is a little different,
right? Like
so
2.
How many good fragile players are there? There's Reiser, or does anyone know how you say
Reiser?
Reiser, okay.
Tyler's the king of saying names completely correct.
Well, you know what I do is, however my screen reading software pronounces a name, that's how I end up getting stuck saying it. So even when I'm corrected, I end up doing it wrong.
That's a pretty good excuse.
So there's him, there's Scott Rowland. Who else is good that's fragile?
Well, we already talked about Percival.
Edmonds is fragile, right?
Yes, yeah. I think there's a lot more prone. When you get to the high price guys, you can find a lot of good guys who are prone and underpriced because of it. There's not a ton.
I'm scared of prone too.
You shouldn't be. Prone and normal are the difference in a full season is about 2-point-something games.
Normally, but what if? That's my problem. I know on average it's not going to be bad, but sometimes it is.
But what if you sign an iron or just a normal guy, I mean? So say you sign a normal guy and he hits 50 points below his expected batting average. That can happen too, right?
Yeah.
It's just the same kind of...
Right. But it's probably not going to happen as often because you got, all these plate appearances.
That's right. The question is, how cheap does somebody have to be to make it worth gambling?
Yeah, right. And I'll gamble on cheap guys and pitchers and stuff like that.
Dick Allen is prone. Nap Lajoie is prone.
Yeah.
George Brett is prone. Larry Walker. You want to talk only about fragile? Let's see. Let's change the search parameters here rather than scanning a long list.
I just don't want to be sunk by a fragile player. I just don't like the chance, the hanging over my head that it could happen.
Jim Edmonds, Nomar Garcia-Parra.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
and Troy Tulowitzki.
He's fragile?
Yeah.
I thought he might have been prone. Okay.
Wow. Is Nomar fragile?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the way that you said that, Steve, is wrong in a way. I don't think a good team can be sunk by one player getting injured.
If you're going to the playoffs and Knapp gets injured for 21 games with 7 games left, you might lose that first round of the playoffs.
You might not.
Might not, but your team's $17 million left.
What is right? So if you want to look at it in real baseball teams, what is Lajoie's WAR? It's probably around 8. So one, you think it might be higher? I don't know.
I think that sounds right to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a playoff series is 7 games. 7 over 162 is less than an 8th, that's for sure. It's less than a 20th. So chances are it won't even cost you a game. It might.
And it's obviously nobody wants it to happen.
Of course
not. But if you've got – the other thing, too, is your bench player, good owners probably have bench players who are more – they're not a win above a replacement player, but they're not a 0. They're better than the average replacement player, right?
I also have another thing.
You don't have to spend a lot of money to have decent replacement players. You can get a solid replacement player in the 600,000s. You want somebody who's good, who can hit well enough to play right and left, but is also rated in center. Maybe that'll cost you $800,000.
Or you could just get Del Greco this pricing cycle. He's like
Steve. You had a thought.
Yeah. What was that? Because I forgot.
I knew he was going to say that. That's why I asked him. Because as soon as he said that, he forgot.
I think you're about to say, "Oh yeah, you guys are all right about injuries."
I can't remember, man. I get punched in the face a lot.
Yeah, that's everybody's excuse.
It was something about the fragile players, though.
Well, your fragile little mind couldn't remember it. You know what? I think that's a good place for a good stopping point in this video.
I might come up with it here.
Yeah, so before you've got until I'm done outroing the video here. And once again, I just want to say something. I want to thank everybody who's interactive with the show here on Diamond Line Online and Imagine Sports, on the boards and everything else. But I do have a bone to pick with all of you.
And I also want to say, tune in next time, because there's some meaty stuff that we're talking about, like that'll be fun.
Yeah, there is definitely going to be some dirt, some meaty stuff coming up next time. But I want to say this to the users of Diamond Mine Online. You guys are all great. You guys are interactive on the boards. You guys give us great feedback all the time. But I do have one bone to pick with all of you. We have videos that get watched 250, 300 times. You guys are all watching it, but you guys aren't subscribing to the channel. We've only got 94 subscribers. I want to hit 100 subscribers by the end of January. We've got another 12 days to go here. I think it could be done. Today's my daughter Hannah's 10th birthday.
I remember.
Oh, there it is. For Hannah's 10th birthday, subscribe to the channel. All right, what is it? Go ahead, Steve.
So I like to carry 13 pitchers, and I need all the space I can get. I can't be carrying no extra third baseman backup. I don't need that. I need security. That I don't need those bench players because I have a giant bullpen.
That's definitely going to change things a bit.
Yeah, I think it's definitely I think it'd be definitely worse for a pitcher to get an injury than a hitter, because I'm bullpen heavy too. That's the one thing I probably do the best in the game, is have a solid bullpen of a bunch of guys you've never heard of, but when they come in, the lights get shut out because I know what I'm looking for and I know how to build that. Steve knows that. When my relievers come in, it's over.
I taught him how to do the bull up.
What year are you playing?
I can't even point that way.
What'd you say? What year?
What era are you playing
What era? Well, we started 73. We just finished 1981 just started. So we've got a lot of
But what
a lot of old schools.
We're in 81. That's a weird year too.
what era is your league set on? Is it standard era or is it the
I don't know. Steve, do you know what era the league is set on? I have no idea. I didn't know. That's one thing I haven't heard. I didn't know a league could be set to an era.
I should know because the first season I actually set it up. So
it changes stuff like how many pitches guys can throw.
How can you see that on your league? Is there a way to see it?
It's under league rules.
League rules? League.
I don't know, but I'm the one who did it, but I should know.
League rules. League rules. Era of play. It says
I tried to commission a league, but I am so bad at commissioning.
AL what?
Do it.
So we're in 1981, and so the era of play in our progression league right now is AL 1981.
Okay.
So basically, it's just we're going off of that year.
Whatever year, yeah.
Yeah, whatever year it is. So we're sticking to the year.
Okay. And you do need a little bit more of a bullpen than you do in standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, in standard, if you had 13 pitchers and you weren't playing in a place like Coors, I don't know, but even in Coors,
Matt, you popped up a picture to rub something in at me too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. You want me to bring it back up here? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that because I didn't get to do it last time. So here it is again. Nope, that's just the same screen I was just looking at, not the right one. Now I got to find the right screen because I was out showing the video until old Mr. Forgetfulness here remembers what the hell he's talking about here. I got to go back to our league. All I was really showing was a picture of I'm already 5-1 against Steve.
That's a super team. That team's going to win 105 games or something. That team of mine that you beat 5 out of the first 6. That's a super team. It's a SSG team, but like everybody's EX in the field and can hit. I don't know how I managed to put it together. It's unbelievable. It's going to destroy that league, but it just hasn't started yet.
Here's that league. Here's that team he's talking about right now. This is Steve's.
Show that team.
All right, I'm going to show it right now.
The pitching's probably terrible. I don't even know who's on it.
So,
all those guys are EX fielders, and they're all good hitters.
So he's got 2 catchers. He's got Gene Tennis, who has played really well for him for a long time, and his backup catcher is Glenn Brummer. He's got Manny. He's got Manny Trio.
Brian Downing.
Oh,
Brian Downing's my catcher.
Oh, why does it show this? Oh, Brian Downing. Oh, you've got 3 catchers. Yeah. You've got Brian Downing, Glenn Brummer, and Gene Tennis. You got your boy Manny Trio at second base. Buddy Bell.
Does anybody know why Glenn Brummer's on my team?
Why?
It's because he stole home in the 1982 World Series for the Cardinals. That's it. The only reason.
He's got Art Howe, Gary Templeton. You still rolling with Templeton, huh? He's starting to dwindle here.
Art Howe, EX, Buddy Bell, EX, Manny Trio, EX.
Ricky Henderson, Dwayne Murphy, Jack Clark, and Leon Roberts. Leon Roberts, I think I've had him on my team before.
Yeah, he's an EX fielder. That team is crazy.
Yeah, that's a decent little offensive team there.
But it will. That team's going to win a lot of games.
Here's his pitching staff.
It's probably terrible.
Yeah, nobody really on. You've got Tom Hausman. I've used him as a reliever several times.
What % of his salary is on pitching? Does it tell you?
22%.
Okay.
Which would be a tiny bit higher if you include inactive injury reserve, because he's got a $728,000 season from Candelaria.
And you signed Elias Sosa. I had him in my bullpen last year. Nice.
That's not a great pitching staff, but with that defense, who cares?
So, is this a league where you have 26 players active? Because I only see 2 on the inactive list.
Okay.
Yep. 28-man roster, 26 active. So there it is.
That's a good team, man. That team's going to win a lot of games.
Yep. Almost made me want to pull up my team. But we'll save it for next time because we are at the end of this roundtable. I want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank all you guys from the Diamond Miners out there. Subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow here Let's get us to 100 subscribers by the end of January. We can do it. You guys are watching the video. Just click subscribe. You're the first to find out when we post new content that you like. You guys like it. You guys watch it all the time. Be the first to find out. Subscribe to the channel. So for Steve, Tyler, and David, this is myself with the Turnbuckle Bros saying adios on another roundtable.
Hey, Tyler, we always salute at the end. I know you don't see it, but the rest of us are saluting. Give us a salute.
Oh, really?
Give us a salute. Everybody salute. Everybody salute. Tyler.
Salute.
I don't even know how to salute. I don't know what it looks like.
Make that. Do you know how to do a karate chop?
No, what do I do?
He can't see. He doesn't know what we're talking about.
Well, we got to get this. I don't know what to say, man. I can't work this out. DVD, you got to help us here.
Just 2 fingers, 4 fingers, or 3, whatever, to the side of your forehead and then forward.
Yeah, hit it.
Like that?
No, like to the same side.
Yeah, that'll work.
Put your fingers together. Put your fingers together, and like
yeah,
and down to your hairline.
Put them up to your hairline
and move it away fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
there you go.
All right. Turnbuckle Bros saying adios. Salute everybody right now. Bye-bye, everybody.